Today, I'm excited because I'm going out and about to find out how to coach young goalkeepers. So join me as I go and find out how to coach young goalkeepers. So, what's your name?
My name is Robert Hannon.
All right, and what do you do?
I'm a goalkeeper.
A goalkeeper? What sports do you play?
I be a goalkeeper for Gaelic football and soccer.
Gaelic football and soccer. So, like, were you professional?
Well, Gaelic football would be an amateur sport, so I would have been amateur in Gaelic football and I would have been semi-professional then in soccer.
Okay. There's, I suppose, a lot of responsibility in goalkeeping, isn't there? Is it a tough type of position to play, or what's it like?
Yeah, it's a tough position to play in a lot of aspects. It could be, you have obviously your mental aspect of it. Obviously, people could say it's a lonely position, a lot of responsibility because you're the last line of defence. Obviously, if you make a mistake, it could cost a goal or cost your team, but it's also a position where you could actually grow in confidence and experience both on and off the field, and it could make you a very, very confident person, human being, and bring out the best in you with your character,
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So, it must be lonely as a goalkeeper in that position, is it?
It can be at times, I suppose, but obviously it depends on how you are mentally. As I come back to that, how mentally strong you are and how mentally resilient you are, because it's a very kind of magnified position, I would say.
Yeah.
It's very minute, especially the higher level you play, regarding mistakes you make. As I said, it's very magnified. If you make a mistake, obviously the emphasis is on you and you're exposed there on it. But obviously, if you make a mistake, it obviously is on the flip side of that, and you're very exposed to it. So it's kind of the scenario where either you're a hero or you're a zero to hero kind of, or you're a failure, as so called in the eyes of the public, But again, that's where the resilient and character comes in. Then is how mentally strong you can react from a mistake.
Okay.
And that makes you become a better human being as a character and a better goalkeeper. So they're both interlinked.
Okay, cool. So, you said you're not a professional goalkeeper. What are you doing professionally now?
Well, I'd be a goalkeeping coach, so it'd be obviously for both soccer and Gaelic football. It was something I never had as a youngster, and I obviously had to kind of self-learn or self-teach myself. I would have done it in a lot of different ways, through obviously research of books and online, and obviously from playing experience as well, and obviously that I'm going into the coaching aspect of it now as well. I'm obviously learning and develop, and I want to give that back to youngsters, obviously helping other people excel, which has given hope to youngsters.
So tell me, how about your own sporting career as a goalkeeper? How good did you get? What was the highest leagues you played in? What about soccer?
I suppose I would have had a very successful career in soccer in Scotland, to be honest with you, Conor. I did have a good career here in Galway in Ireland, but I felt I really developed even further when I went to Scotland. I would have played semi-professional in Scotland. This would have developed my character and developed me as a human being, playing in a different country and obviously learning and interacting with people from different cultures and backgrounds.
And how does being you mentioned two sports now, in a very unique position of goalkeeping, like Gaelic football and soccer. I know you've mentioned another country. So how does the dual role of playing both codes, both sports, in the one position and also being in two different countries playing it, how does that develop a goalkeeper?
I suppose what the great thing about it, Conor, is that what it helps is the experience. Because you're obviously playing with a lot of different people, so you get to interact with different types of people, whether you're playing at a high level at obviously semi-professional in Scotland, the junior level, or you're playing amateur for your club side back here in Ireland. You would have been playing at different standards, different levels. They would have been able to help on both sides. They would have been able to help you. All these experiences combined with my education and knowledge as well, obviously it's really kind of beneficial to me going forward there as a coach and as a goalkeeper. I suppose all this experience is going to really help me in obviously to develop and help other people excel, really give them hope.
So what was the highest league or calibre of player you played against in soccer? In both either Ireland or Scotland?
I suppose I played with this player in Scotland. His name was Stephen Tweed. He played
I heard of him.
Semi-professional game with us there. and it was a club I played with. They were called Newborough.
Okay.
He worked with one of our coaches, and he's very famous. He would have played for Hibs, their team in Edinburgh, and he would have played in the Bundesliga as well.
That's Hibs that were in the Scottish Premier at one stage, or the same club?
That's
Okay,
right, yeah,
wow.
they're still in the Scottish Premier, yeah.
Sky Sports.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good side, and even just having his experience down for that one day, I was just in awe of how his game management and how he controlled the game. You could see he played at that high level because of his experience and the knowledge he had. But his positioning and sense of awareness was amazing. And I found it great help for me because obviously he was playing in front of me as a centre half. I was obviously in goals that day. And to have his experience and know-how and communication, etc., was second to none. Really helped me bring on again to understand why is he standing there, why is he telling people to go here, or just stuff like that. And he was a big help to us there. Not only myself, but I think to the whole guys. They all really learned from it, you know.
Yeah. So as a goalkeeping coach, you've mentioned like development a lot. What's the difference between ability and development for you? I mean, how far can you develop a goalkeeper, be it from being young or being unsuccessful or making a blooper, making a mistake, to actually becoming a better and even the best goalkeeper they can be? Like, what's the difference between that ability?
I would say you can teach someone how to do something, but it's up to the individual themselves. So basically it's up to the drive or how much the individual wants it themselves. Obviously you can paint the picture to the individual and explain to the goalkeeper the right way of doing the goalkeeping and how to learn from mistakes and how to do the correct techniques and stuff. But obviously if they have all the ability and they have great potential, they obviously have to want that to go further to become successful.
Have you, throughout your career in both codes, Gaelic football, soccer, as a goalkeeper, or even any outfielders, any goalkeepers or outfielders, have you brushed shoulders with any famous or well-known players?
Yeah, I would have brushed shoulders once there with Virgil van Dijk. He was obviously playing for Celtic at the time.
The great Liverpool player?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no. He's a big man.
Is he?
Very big, yeah.
You're a big man yourself. What height are you?
I'm 6'4", so he'd be a couple of inches taller than me, 6'6".
Wow, he's 6'6". Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you brush shoulders with him?
It was just in Aberdeen in Portaudry. He was playing for Celtic at the time.
Okay.
And obviously I was just there in the background watching the game.
Yeah.
And we just.
What's he like?
Nice guy, yeah, really nice guy.
You chatted to him?
Yeah, just briefly.
Wow.
Yeah, just briefly, yeah. So.
That's amazing.
Really good guy. Yeah.
And has he what's his personality like? I know he's taller, slightly taller than you, but
yeah, he was very genuine and just normal, just like a normal human being. Really, just really nice, really genuine and sincere.
Yeah.
You know, and he's obviously exceptional talent in Celtic, and little did I realise at the time he was going to be obviously a sensation at Liverpool. But you could tell he had the ability in the Scottish League. Obviously, the standard wouldn't be as good in the Scottish League there. But you could tell definitely he had the potential. But I'm actually delighted for him that he is the player he is, because he was at that level in Scotland. He dominated that Celtic team that was playing at the time.
wow, that's amazing.
Nice experience to meet him.
What types of groups do you coach then?
He started about say 6 years old. It could be up to 11, 12, 13, 14 on to 18, 19. And then you could be looking at 19 onwards and adults, and that'll be boys and obviously girls.
Oh, girls, you do? Oh, women as well, okay.
I've done all different ages and abilities. I would have coached girls soccer over in Scotland, and I would have been the SPL Women's League.
Okay.
I would have had stints with Forfar Farmington, and be a famous team over there. They were in the SPL 1. One of the top teams in ladies football in Europe.
Wow.
I think this year they're currently in the quarter-final of the Champions League. So that's the kind of level they'd be at. I also would have worked with St Johnstone ladies as well. I was a goalkeeping coach for the first team there.
So were you goalkeeping coach with St Johnstone, and then I'm taking it that you were the overall coach or manager of the other ladies team?
No, so I would have been. So there would have been a manager there at Forfar Farmington, and I would have been the goalkeeping coach then with him.
Okay.
At the time, and then that coach then went to manage an underage team then at St Johnstone, which is the feeder club. It's called Gene Field Swifts for St Johnstone.
Yeah.
So we would have coached the underage there, the under-17s team there, and obviously that branches in then to the St Johnstone ladies first team. So I also got asked to do to be the goalkeeper coach for the St Johnstone.
Wow, that's a huge
ladies as
experience.
well.
Wow.
So they played the SPL2, which is just the league below.
So I played a bit of goals myself, and I'm thinking I never had a goalkeeping coach, and it would be great to have had one. And I'm just wondering, like, how do you plan your session as such?
Yeah, I suppose it would depend on obviously the goalkeeper's ability, but you'd obviously work within that remit of that. So basically, regardless of their ability, you kind of focus on basically a long-term plan over, say, either a weekly plan or a monthly plan or a yearly plan, but basically you'd focus on specific areas rather than throwing 5 or 6 different things at them at one time. So for example, you could break it into maybe 6 or 7 aspects, and then each one aspect, say, per week.
And how would that work normally, more specifically?
Normally I'd break it into 6 different aspects of goalkeeping. They are handling, feet work and movement, body shape, positioning, distribution and crossing. They'd then be each primary team would be broken into 4 different aspects of that. It would be a warm-up aspect of it, a technical skill level 1 aspect of it, a technical skill level aspect 2 of it, and a game-related scenario or match aspect of that skill. This would be obviously over each week. So say for example, week 1 would be handling, week 2 would be movement and feet work, week 3 would be body shape, week 4 would be positioning, week 5 would be distribution, and week 6 could be crossing.
Wow. Okay, it's very professional.
Yeah, no, I think it's important because there's no point in a goalkeeper or somebody doing an exercise and they don't understand or know why they're doing the exercise. So it's important to understand that what they're doing the exercise and why they're doing the exercise, so that they can bring that into a game realistic, and then it's very muscle memory and very easy for them then to adapt to that situation because they would have done it in a training environment.
So you mentioned character a couple of times there. What has character got to do with goalkeeping?
It's really important. Again, it goes back to what I said earlier about the confidence, and especially resilience will be the more important word you're looking for there. So the character is, I suppose, when you're up against it or you're tested, especially when you make a mistake or an error, say, and people might be actually saying that you're no good or they look down on you, etc. It's how you can react. That's the character on somebody. And I think especially for younger people, it can be quite naive and sensitive. They can actually take it to heart, and unfortunately if they make a mistake here down the game, it could affect them for the whole game. But obviously if they get stronger with their character, it's going to help them rebound quicker with the resilience and get them focused back into a game. I think us as humans, nobody is perfect, so it's important that we react and we react quickly and learn from our errors and mistakes. And I think that brings out the character, and if I can do that as a coach and help that with youngsters and improve on their weaknesses, they'll stop obviously making these errors, and we'll try and perfect their role as a goalkeeper. It'll help their clubs and their
So their character is affected. Would that be then, like, is it affected during the game if they make a big blooper or mistake, or is it after a game, looking forward to the next game if it's a big game? So is it in their lives they're affected, or is it during the game, or is it both? Could you explain that?
Yeah, no, you're spot on there. It was a very good question. Again, it affects all areas, all aspects of it. If you're playing a game, you could make a mistake in the first minute or the last minute or during the game. It could obviously affect you initially. It depends on your character, I suppose. Every person has a different personality and how they react to different things, obviously from experience and life experience, I suppose, and from their sporting experience. And obviously this can be interchangeable, and obviously if they're in school or college or work or whatever, it could affect their work life as well. They could bring that into the next game. So for example, Gaelic football, when you play the club championship, you might have a championship game for 4, 5, 6 weeks. There was one time I was playing a club championship game senior in Tuam Stadium. We were playing Killearn, and we were leading at half time. We only got 2 scores in the second half. It was maybe about 5 or 10 minutes ago. I can vividly remember a high ball came in on to my left hand side of my goal, so it would have been on the right side of the field of Tuam Stadium. And Nicky Joyce, a famous Galway footballer, very good talent. He came in and punched the ball. a high ball was kicked in by his cousin Porrick, who's the Galway senior manager now.
Oh wow.
He kicked in the ball into the square, and I came up to try and punch the ball out, and obviously Nicky jumped up. He had a great leap and jump above me and went to the back of the net.
Oh no.
So obviously I felt at the time personally that I'd let down the whole team and the whole club at the time.
Yeah.
Because obviously that goal cost us that game, that
So
championship.
during the game, at that moment, you actually felt you'd let the whole club down.
Yeah,
Wow.
at the time, yeah. I suppose I was in my early 20s at the time, and I kind of took it, you know, I don't think I was right for a few weeks. I took it home with me, and
Okay.
when I was working the next few days, I was constantly thinking about it, because I suppose, again, this comes back to your previous question about the character. I think I cared so much about the game and about the team, and obviously I'm a vital part, the goalkeeper's a vital part of the team, and obviously my reaction was important too, and I did react to it in the best kind of way I thought was right, but I suppose the sensitivity of me, of caring a lot, affected me and affected my game from that point on. But I suppose that the period I had to wait was a couple of weeks, because there was no game then until the next game after that. But I just had to try and rectify it and try and move on. So I'd often watch kind of videos at home at night, so with the likes of Rocky, I used to watch that quite a lot to get inspiration, or YouTube videos trying to get the confidence. That really helped me in overturning kind of the sensitivity. And now I suppose when I look back now, I'm obviously 33 now, and I'm in my kind of, we'll say, latter years of goalkeeping. Obviously that's why I'm getting into coaching, and I suppose my mind would be a lot stronger, so if I made a mistake like that again, I'd have a quicker recovery from it. And I suppose I'm just trying to pass that on now to youngsters.
And how do you pass that on then to young people, to young goalkeepers or wannabe goalkeepers?
Yeah.
How's that done?
Yeah, no, I think it's important to kind of emphasise again the point I made earlier, that you're going to make mistakes. Like you're not robotic, you're not perfect. So I'd always.
Now come on, Robbie, speak for yourself.
I'd always say people aren't perfect. You know what I mean? I always kind of say, look, you're going to make a mistake. Whether you're an outfield player, you might make a bad pass, or you're a goalkeeper, you're going to let the ball through your hands. And again, this is the character point I come back to. It's basically how you react to the mistakes that make.
But how can a good goalkeeping coach then build that resilience that you mentioned, or the character that you mentioned?
I suppose a lot of it, Conor, will come from experience. You know what I mean? It's a lot of it's age and experience, and you're learning from your mistakes. So every time I teach a session, I do a particular team. So I pick one specific team, like a handling. I would do a handling session would be the primary team, and obviously there'd be other secondary aspects to that. So if one of my goalkeepers that I was coaching did a handling error, for example, I would try and say, right, you did it a certain way, or his hands weren't in the correct position, or his body shape wasn't correct, and we try and rectify that so he won't make the same mistake again. So obviously with repetition and practice, as the saying goes, practice makes perfect. The more times somebody does it and the repetitiveness of it, the more they'll not make the mistake and perfect that skill. And then that's how they'll learn to say, oh, I know I did something wrong there, so now I have to. They'll learn. It's self-learning then after that. So that's, I suppose, between that and kind of doing different aspects outside of the game. Maybe like, for example, I read a lot of psychology books, and I felt that helped me mentally. So a lot of stuff like visualization. I would have played in Croke Park once with an All-Ireland club final in 2009.
Croke Park is the biggest stadium in Ireland for Gaelic games. Wow.
It would be, and I tried not to let the occasion get to me, so I was reading a lot of sports psychology books, and I felt the visualization really helped me. So I visualised I was in my own club pitch, where I felt familiar and comfortable with, but really I was in Croke Park. So mentally I was thinking I was down in my club pitch in Galway, but I was in an 83,000 seater stadium in Croke Park. So I suppose that could be another aspect. You could help your goalkeeper to try and use maybe psychology stuff to try and help.
But that actually, I mean, you mentioned a lot of youth coaching for goalkeepers, but surely that's going to help like adult goalkeepers in Gaelic football and soccer, like imparting all that wisdom. That's a lot to give, don't you think?
Yeah, no, I suppose a goalkeeper is not just, in my opinion, a goalkeeper is not just about on the pitch as a goalkeeper. It's a whole package, to be honest. I would have had experience doing sports science in the UK.
Okay.
And I suppose that's really helped me understand a lot about physiology, anatomy, nutrition,
Right, wow.
psychology, biomechanics. So
you've studied this like professionally. That's amazing.
yeah, I would have studied that professionally. So that's
Wow.
given me the extra edge, say, well, not just being on the field with
Yeah.
goalkeeping. It actually gets me to understand the body and how it works and what movements and different aspects of that do it as well, and as well as obviously the mental aspect of it, and
Yeah.
psychology. So I suppose
It's
you kind of
amazing
have to
package,
integrate everything into one.
Yeah.
And they actually all interlink with each other, to be honest with you. How you prepare for a game, how you recover from a game. Again, the strength and conditioning is very important as well. I would have had a lot of injuries. I broke both my legs
Oh, wow.
playing soccer.
What's the difference between Gaelic football, goalkeeping, and soccer goalkeeping? There must be differences, are there?
There would be. There's a lot of similarities, but there would be differences. I suppose with the soccer goalkeeping, you have to be more agile, I would say. And the reason being is there's a lot of process in coming out of the box, so you need to come out further in your goals. Gaelic football goalkeeping would be a lot of kind of you'd be in around your kind of square, so you wouldn't have as much movement in or out of the goal. It'd be more just in the goal, we'll say, and you're minding obviously the goal itself. Now you are in soccer as well. This is where they're similar, but for corners and stuff like that, you've got to be more positioned out, and obviously if the play is moved further up, the goalkeeper has to move further out. In particular, soccer.
Okay.
Gaelic
Wow.
football, you do have to move up, but you don't need to be as mobile. We'll say.
And what are the commonalities then between the two? Obviously, you're stopping the ball and you're kicking it out, but
Yeah, no, there's more to that. I would say obviously the handling aspect would be the exact same. And now the Gaelic football would be much heavier than a soccer ball. And obviously the Gaelic football pitch is longer than a soccer pitch. But the handling aspect would be the very same. The feet work aspect would be the very same. The body shape would be similar, but the difference would be is the soccer ball is on the ground, whereas the Gaelic football, the player has it in his hands. So the speed of the ball with the Gaelic football, the force of it would be much harder. Whereas the soccer ball is lighter, it'll probably go a bit faster on the ground.
okay. So, Robert Hannon of RH Goalkeeping, I just want to say thank you and best of luck with all the future goalkeeping talent, female and male.
Thanks very much, Conor, and thanks for taking the time to spend with me to talk about my goalkeeping coaching career.
It's a pleasure. Thanks a million.
Thank you, all the best.
So, there you have it. That's how you coach young goalkeepers. Until next time, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have, well, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.